Good morning. I'm recording, as always, the week before this recording drops on Tuesday. And I'd like to discuss the Heritage Foundation, the Federalist Society, and Project 2025, and what links them together. Turns out, in 1971, the soon-to-be Justice Lewis Powell, under Richard Nixon, he came up with a memorandum called the Powell Memorandum. I actually spoke about it on YouTube Live a couple of years ago when we were going through the pandemic. It's a memorandum that talks about the GOP and the conservative movement becoming serious about the viability and the promotion of business. The only thing Powell was concerned about was that business, big business, was not getting enough approval, didn't have the PR it should have. He felt business really uber alles. That should be the clarion call of the Conservative Party. No more we the people, no. He espoused talking about big business and big business moving seamlessly with government. Well, here we are, 2024, and it's finally happened. Well, let's look at how big business became the corporate state with no accountability. The Heritage Foundation would be formed in 1973 to do just as he recommended: take over the universities, take over the journalists, take over the radio waves, and promote business. Even the Chamber of Commerce played second fiddle to the Heritage Foundation. Got its roots by the Coors family, also Alec and the Moral Majority. They wrote policy for the new GOP conservative movement to come. This was 1973. By 1982, they had a plan. The plan was the Federalist Society. Oddly enough, the Federalist Society, so-called, is a joke on the real Federalist Society, which was founded by Washington, Madison, Hamilton, and John Jay. They wanted big government, and they wanted accountability and checks and balances, not the Heritage Foundation. And the Federalist Society became the judicial nominating arm of the Heritage Foundation. It carries out the policy of the Heritage Foundation. And what are some of those policies? It's being seen right now as we look at the Supreme Court's last few decisions. It gives unlimited power to the corporations. It overturns Chevron. Chevron makes sure that Congress passes laws, and when the laws are too complex because of the technology, we have federal agencies to carry out Congressional law. Well, all that is now bypassed by the overturning of Chevron. If a corporation doesn't like the EPA regulation, they can sue. And so now, instead of Congress being the last word on regulations, the Supreme Court is. And all the regulations, if they wish to be challenged, can go through the judicial system. Federalist Foundation wants a small government. That's why the Federalist Society is a joke on the original Federalists. They wanted big government regulation, because they saw the corruption that could exist within the corporate, the judicial, and the legislative branches, and also the executive branch. They didn't want to see corruption there. But not this court. In a small ruling called Schneider versus the United States, bribery has been legalized. Evidently, you don't need to have a quid pro quo. You can just give money to the legislator of your choice. There is no such thing as bribery anymore. So what happens to the will of we the people? We don't exist. The constituents for all of our legislators, except for a few ethical ones, is the corporate world, the lobbyists, and how powerful they are. And we already know that when a lobbyist gives $1 to Congress, they get 127 back. It's worth it to the corporation. And what else does the Heritage Foundation want? It wants to get rid of trans people in the military. It wants to get rid of our public education system. It wants to weaken EPA. And there's one justice on the Supreme Court who's more against EPA than any other justice, and that's Neil Gorsuch, because his mom brought in polluters and she was ousted from EPA. What's their other mantra? Drill, baby, drill. I think it should be more like fry, baby, fry, because look what's happening to Americans. There's over 5 fires that are before their time in California and not being well controlled. 1.3 million people in Houston, Texas still don't have air conditioning, and they're suffering. And all over the United States, most of us have had heat waves that have kept us in. I was a hermit on Tuesday when the temperatures reached in the high 90s. And next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we're going to have 91 through 96. And with humidity, it's going to be worse. I know now that I can go out when it's 90 degrees. As long as I do it gradually, don't walk more than 1.5 miles or so, and do it slowly, I can sit out there until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But I'm lucky. I can escape any time into an air-conditioned shop or my own building. How many other folks in America are that lucky? And what else do they espouse? Trump, Roy Cohen, they were big proponents of the Federalist Society. And where did they take all their judicial marching orders from? Well, Claremont College, Georgetown University, Notre Dame. They wanted to be a Christian, evangelical, family values state. That seems to be code word for overturning reproductive rights, disability rights, LGBTQ&A rights, and all other tolerances that we've built into our society. They don't want it, folks. Trump supports, and you can find Trump supporting, TrumpsProject2025.com. He supports limited government, and limited rights for we the people. Don't be fooled by next week's smoke and mirrors at the Republican convention. Though I will say, if I'm allowed to watch, I'm going to live stream on YouTube at 5 o'clock. Hopefully, they'll be telling the truth about what they really believe in. If not, I'm going to purchase or read online all 900 pages of their manifesto. Because in 2018, they were proud of Trump. They said that he had followed 2/3 of their recommendations. And now, the Supreme Court, in one fell swoop at the end of their term, has followed almost all of them, because we have an Imperial Judiciary that now needs judicial oversight, reforms, review, and enforcement, and we have an Imperial President beholden to the corporate state and possibly to Putin, because the new CPACs, they've got Viktor Orban there, and they're really happy with Orban. And until a liberal president came into Poland, they were happy with the old Polish ways. They want a Catholic, evangelical state with the old family values. I gotta say, they're not what this country needs. And it's not where the country's at. In fact, in Arkansas, the people want emergency abortions. The government of Arkansas has said, no way. They're not even listening to the Supreme Court. So where are we? We've got a Supreme Court that's made all these rules, overturned precedents, and it looks like not even the conservatives like them. They're not conservative enough. And yet, they've given us a corporate, authoritarian state that's unaccountable to nobody. And they've given us bribery, legalized bribery. Well, we know what we got to do. We got to vote these folks out of office in any state fiefdom that they control. Because it's not controlled by you and me. We no longer have a voice in Congress. We no longer have a voice in the agencies. Our voice is blocked out. It's only the voice of the judiciary and the president through executive orders. Well, there's still over 100 days left for Biden in the presidency. Let's see what he comes up with to start overturning the harm the Heritage Foundation, the Federalist Society has done. I'm rooting for right makes right. Hope you are too. Thank you.